Board meeting to order. Allie, could you please take the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Jody Kingsbury,
Hello.
Sandy Buckley,
Here.
Adam Stewart,
Present.
Kyle Jackson,
Present.
Dora Higbee,
Present.
Michael Eastlick.
All present and accounted for. So at this time, I am going to invite our Kingsbury Country Day students that have joined us here. First, I'm going to thank you all for joining us. And now I am going to ask everybody to rise and have those students lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And there's a flag to everybody's left. You guys go ahead and lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the and one nation. To be respectful, responsible, and safe. The state and the community. Thank you so much.
Oh,
well done. That was guys. And moving right along to the public comment. Does anybody have any public comment? Excuse me, on the agenda items? This time. All right. We'll then ask for or entertain a motion to either amend the proposed agenda or approve the proposed agenda.
I have a question. I see you have some students here. I'm not here if they're here to talk or if they're just.
I think they're siblings of helping
the pledges.
pledges.
It's the board. I was gonna say they were.
Right.
We were pulled out to the
Yes, I
beginning.
usually pull.
From the board, if you'd like to say something. No, I appreciate that. Thank
Yeah.
you. So with respect to the agenda, is there any motion to amend or to approve?
So moved.
Sandy moves to approve. And is there a second?
Support.
Adam supports. Is there any discussion regarding the agenda? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of approving the agenda as proposed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, the agenda is approved. The approval of the minutes for the October 2025 meeting. Before I entertain a motion, I do have a question, Allie, with respect to where you have the individuals that are present. I know that one of these individuals joined us via virtually. Do we need to identify the virtual presence versus in person, the meeting minutes?
Oh, no,
It's
that's,
not.
sorry, I was like, we didn't have a board member.
No, it wasn't a board
Okay,
member.
yes.
It was from
No.
Custarian when they were.
Yeah,
presenting to
no,
us. Okay.
that
I
doesn't,
just wasn't sure if we needed to have that.
documented that way.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so at this time, I would entertain a motion to either approve the proposed minutes as they are, or a motion to amend the proposed minutes. Approved, is there a second? Dora seconds. Dora seconds. Is there any further discussion regarding those meeting minutes at this point? Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the October 2025 meeting minutes, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, the October 2025 meeting minutes are approved as presented. Board correspondence is the next item. I have, the board has received correspondence regarding, thank you again for joining us. Have a good day. And we received board correspondence from legal counsel regarding some matters that okay. Moving right along to finances then, our October 2025 financial statements. I believe they are beginning on page 11 of the balance sheet.
There's financial highlights as the page right before it.
Page 9.
Yes.
Yep, I skipped a page there.
So our cash balance in the general fund has been low. Obviously, that's going to be replenished pretty quick here. It's because of payments on the cash flow. And then money market, we did not dip into that, so you can see that that's 1.032 million. And then student activities, there are some transactions that we can true up, but there's a little bit that needs to go back into the general fund, but we'll move those. I think we're going to do it
Quarterly.
Other than that, there was the golf outing. Where'd that go? It was like 34,000. If I'm not mistaken.
30.
30. So
It's a very, yeah, sorry, on the back page there.
31.8,
Yep.
32. So very successful.
No, it's a team effort on that one.
But your team, I mean, it's just incredible.
In a short period of time. too.
Very, really great.
Yeah.
Just.
Else in the October 2025 financials, excuse me. Right.
I think-
it's time.
Well, I want to, Brian had mentioned that we didn't have to dip into money market at all for the time where we didn't have state aid payment. As you know, taking a state aid note is costly and goes nowhere. But I think that just shows how he wanted to commend and say, that's a great sign that you didn't have to dip into the money that you are, you have invested in the money market. So congratulations on that. Many schools were not in that same place.
Thank you. We worked with our financials subcommittee for working so hard and making sure we get those off.
32,000 in interest already from.
Yes.
Awesome. That is awesome. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to accept the October 2025 financials. Kyle moves. Is there a second?
Yes.
Kyle moves. Sandy seconds. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of receiving the October 2025 financials, please say aye. Aye. Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no nays means we have no horses. Also, the October 2025 financials. Making sure people are listening. Making sure people are listening. Those financials have been approved. And as Nikki, you just moved the speaker system over to me, so
Yes, you're good.
Remotely, this is our second meeting that we are holding remotely and sending out live to the wherever you may be. So thank you for joining us and welcome. A little bit late, but so item 9 are academics. Academic subcommittee. The academic subcommittee did meet last week regarding, we reviewed some NWEA scores. So at this time, Allie or Nikki, I will pass that on over to you, and those for your board packet are page 32. It's the colorful spreadsheet.
Yep. So the first one on page 32 is math, and then 33 is reading. So if you want to look at them that way. So this shows you the students that are at or below the 50th percentile mark, which is our goal for this school. We want everybody to be at or above that 50th percentile. So this is all of the grades. It's a starting point, right? We're not going to see any growth in this yet because this is just the first test of this year. We'll see growth when we look at it in January timeframe. A couple things to point out on here is when we look at kindergarten, first and second grade, those numbers are very close to that 50th percentile. The fifth grade through 8th grade, we are just approved, and we'll discuss that here a little bit later, a pilot for new math curriculum. So that's going to help with the consistency through those grades for the math. The curriculum we were using was very outdated. So the hope is to bring some of these scores closer to where they need to be. And then one thing to notice on second grade, this is the first time that second grade, and this is math, but there's still heavy reading. It's the first time they have to read independently and they take it on a computer for the first time. Kindergarten and first grade do it on an iPad, and then they switch to second grade. So we're going to have future conversations of, is this a huge change for second? Both of those switches. Can we maybe do iPads or iPads to computers in first grade so that it's not two big changes for second grade, and kind of wean it that way to see what that does for our test scores. Questions on the math one?
No, I do want to, well, I
Yep.
don't have a question, but I do have a comment with respect to the math curriculum. And as we talked about this at the subcommittee meeting, I think that that's a huge step for our school to have a math curriculum
Yes.
that we've got that is objective, that they can actually work off of. I also had the opportunity to speak with some math teachers in those grades, and they are excited. You can tell that they're educated.
Very
They're
excited.
very excited
Yes,
about
very
that
excited.
curriculum. So thank you for the help you guys had in getting that curriculum going, and hopefully it will pilot as nicely as the reading
Mhm.
curriculum seems to have done.
Yep. So the next graph shows the data for the reading, similar noticings and wonderings on there. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade last year piloted a new curriculum, which is now adopted by the board. That is Common Lit. And then K5 is piloting Savas MyView this year. So we're going to have the middle school math and a reading curriculum simultaneously this year, with hopes that the teachers want to adopt it for next school year.
And we talked about at great length what the 50th percentile
Mhm.
means. That is the national norm. So like they use NWA even outside the United States. The 50th percentile is where all the kids who took the test, where that middle is. So just so that the board understands, this isn't their norms based on all the kids that take the test. It's not like unique to Kingsbury. And that's how Saginaw Valley reviews our data is compared to national norms.
The next two pages on 34 and 36, that is super tiny, 35, sorry. Say 36. This is looking at, so the same data. One of them is math, the other one is reading, but this looks at each of the individual grades to give you a bigger picture of kind of where those percentiles are falling. There's a key down at the bottom that tells you what each of the colors are. So red is 1st to 20th percentile. That orange color is 21st to 40th. Yellow is 41st to 60th, 61st to 80th, and then above 80th is blue. So that kind of gives you the breakdown individually of grades. When the teachers look at this report, they can drill down even further. They can go into a student's profile and they can see where that student has strengths and weaknesses, and they can pull out skills to work on in small groups with those individual students that have the same weaknesses, and they can build their groups that way. And they also can see where they should push students and excel them. If they're doing really well in an area, they can see they're ready to learn maybe next step up for a certain subject or area. It helps them.
It also shows that when you're looking there, how many, there's some celebration. The kids that come to Kingsbury and are in middle school, they knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a direct reflection on their time at Kingsbury. We don't have a ton of new students in middle school. So this is really reflective of, for the most part, the legacy students that you have kept.
Their scores are.
And when you talk red, there's some that are bigger bands of the percentage of students, but for the bulk, these are small numbers of students that are really off track. With the intense supports, we're hoping to get them back on track. So do you want to talk about?
Yeah, with the intervention support, we have AmeriCorps. She's an interventionist, Miss Barcino. She's funded through a grant, the Balmer grant. So she works with students in K3 who are tier 2. So they're not probably like the yellows is what she's going to work with to boost them up. and she goes through groups pretty rapidly. She reevaluates every 4 weeks to get those kids in and out really quick and get those skills built up so that she can constantly have that rotation. And then Miss Lewis and Miss Procco are able to focus on those tier 3 students that need a lot more intensive support. And they can focus, in either one-on-one or in small group, usually like 2 kids. Most of the time it's either one-on-one or with 2 students at a time, so that it's very focused for what those kids need. And that's for the math and the reading as well.
I have a question about the 5th grade performance. I know that we're getting that new curriculum that's going to, kick in for the 5th grade. Would that indicate that there might be issues with the 4th grade curriculum if the 5th grade is scoring the blue and the green that's there?
It's a possibility from, since this is a new curriculum now, it could be showing a weakness in the curriculum that we have for the K4.
And is that something that we're gonna?
That's the next.
That's the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the next.
You gotta take it in pieces. This is a big ask for teachers to pilot, right? They're going in, having to learn a whole new system, and they're trying it, not sure if that will be the adoptable. So they're all in on this and learning a new system themselves and teaching. So you're pumping through curriculum reviews quicker than we have traditionally, but we see the need. So absolutely, but we've got to get them.
One at a time.
Yes, one at a time.
Yeah, we don't
There's a
want
lot.
teachers to
the
have to be.
snowball effect.
Yes,
Yeah.
right.
Miss Miller, can she add something?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they can do that because they weren't part of the common lit. So
Yeah. The end of January.
So you'll get information back in
Yeah.
February.
We'll come back and we'll have like a week and a half or 2 weeks before we jump back into testing after winter break.
And that's a real litmus test for teachers to change course versus like how close you are to your end goal that is in your contract for Saginaw. That's a real space where teachers reflect. They maybe the class says that they're missing a concept that they didn't realize along the way. They can fill in. They can also say, kids are picking up on this. We can pick up the pace. With the new curriculums, it's nice because those kids in the blue, that we heard that a lot from parents, like how does my kid get challenged even more? And what we were finding is teachers were having to go out and spend a lot of extra time to go find that more. For the curriculum, it's right there. There's extension activities. If the student is working in another grade, there's a possibility to pull those resources and not
It's just
have
right there.
yeah.
Right there.
So it saves time. It's a learning curve, but eventually it will save the time of a lot of teachers having to go.
Are there other choice schools that are using this curriculum that if there's issues that our teachers face, that they might be able to do best
Yeah,
learning?
one of other schools actually fully adopted it this year. They ran the pilot last year. And so this is kind of year 2, if you will. And so they are now getting into the like nitty gritty, like the curriculum is really deep. The options are, so it takes some time to like, okay, I'm comfortable with this. We're moving down here. And so I've been sharing information with Nikki from some of their things that they're experiencing.
And I've reached out as well
And-
with questions
yeah,
that the teachers
so
have
it's
brought
been
to me.
nice.
I'm like, how have you guys done this? So
Mhm.
been able to ask them
Yeah.
too.
They're part of the piloting that we do, and it's written into that grant too. And then formal adoption later comes with professional development. You can't do curriculum and it's a one and done. We taught the teachers because with every year of experience, they're like, okay, I'm ready for this piece, and they can dive in deeper, but also you hire new staff. So it is a continual investment to keep your curriculum up to date and have professional development within the school. But it's really nice to have a consultant there to say, hey, I'm here. I have a real personalized question. And Savas has been really great about just picking up the phone and answering questions, whether it be from a leader or the teachers are in that space where sometimes they'll reach out at one of the other schools because they're further along. But yeah.
Any parents or guardians who have any individual questions on their student activity testing, highly encourage you to reach out to their teachers if you have specific questions. We, as the board, are taking a look at the entirety of the school on the grade level, but additional information that teachers are seeing and can dive into, please don't hesitate to reach out if you do have questions regarding your students' progress. And I personally like that we get those at parent-teacher conferences so that we have those opportunities to have those questions. But that's just a bit of an aside when we get all of these testings, because again, they are one day, one screenshot, if you will. So it doesn't hurt to ask the questions and try and figure out how best you can support your students at home. Does anybody else have anything on the academics with respect to the fall NWEA?
Remind me, is it from last year? I'm sure that the questions change, right? And it's maybe not a one-to-one, but if we were to follow, let's say, a first grader from last year to the
I
second.
love that
grader,
you just said that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
be able to basically track Johnny through his progression through Kingsbury.
Yeah.
And
So
really try to understand is, like, if we're to be piloting doing like the English program that we already are,
yeah.
and now the math program, are we able to see the effects?
Yes, we don't have access. We've shared with the data for strategic planning and reviews and things, the data that we could find. We have a whole data system that houses all of that to now be able to start tracking some of those things. So when we were talking about MSTEP, we've gathered as much as we can get access to, and we'll be plotting out, right? Here's the first grade cohort. Now here they are in a second grade cohort, and here they are in a third, so that you can see those trends.
But as
So,
Johnny's
long.
parent, that would be very interesting to see how Johnny's growth or stagnation, and it depends on,
Yeah.
because every kid is different. That would be really interesting to see how that. trends.
NWA has a report that,
The parent report. That
yeah,
we
the
share,
parent
there's
report
that
has
graph.
it. It will graph. Granted,
that's
this is
cool.
the first,
Yeah.
this is our second year doing it. So you'll end up you'll see the portrait of your child, and you'll be able to see, the ups, hopefully continue ups, but sometimes there's dips and then they bounce back up, and because it is a snapshot, but you would be able to see their progression over time. We just have last year's and this year's, but the goal is that you have those in perpetuity.
And even on the parent report for the fall,
Mhm.
even though this one isn't seeing growth because it's the first test of
Yeah.
the year,
You can
I
see.
think on the parent one,
It does
that
show.
growth
Mhm.
from where they were last time, and it shows where
Yeah.
they've got that plot point that you can actually
Mhm.
track and see where it was.
It shows like a year.
Yes,
We're used to see.
if we've got that.
It does show
If
full-
it's 7th and 8th grade. They see some very high scores, which is great. But just to understand, that we're seeing a snapshot in time.
Mhm.
How do we, and that, granted, I understand it's the
Yeah.
second year.
Yeah.
Just would like to start building that out even further. see
That's
what's
where you
working.
see, like, we had fall and then the very first ever spring. And so you'll see the fall to spring, and then we brought back the data from our strategic plan that we had reviewed and continue to add to that. So you'll just see, if you remember the data that we had gone through and the schools that you wanted to compare yourselves to, we went through that the last time. You'll just see that continue to grow. So we'll provide that to you too regularly, at least annually, that you'll be able to see the portrait of Kingsbury, right, from all those data points and collections. So the parents have access to their own students. We're building the compilation of the student body of Kingsbury.
Are there resources that the parents can tap into that if Johnny is underperforming in a certain area, that there are resources that the parents could access to help Johnny kind of bring up? Is it all on the teacher, or is there something that the parents, can tap into?
NWA directly correlates with Khan Academy, which is a math online resource. So there is the ability, you can speak to what teachers are doing with parents have questions. What do I do at home with my
I think it's
student?
the individual conversation with the teacher of, this is the area I'm noticing. Are you noticing? And what are you doing in the class that I can transfer to work on at home, and have the teacher provide it, whether, through the curriculum or through their small groups. There's not like a repository that they can pull from through NWA. Yeah.
But they may be able to, depending on what
The
they,
teacher could
teachers
say,
are
okay,
tapping
there's these Khan
Yep.
Academy
Yeah,
resources.
for
that you
math.
can tap into.
directly.
Great thing for reading that, I know Khan is primarily math, isn't it?
It is. That's usually, some schools buy into online different programs that can support like the upload of NWA data, and kids can access at home if their parents. That's not something we have. We're not really heavily into the technology component as much. But there are extensions and different things from the curriculum, and then the teachers really know their kids, so they could have conversations around, hey, could you do this? So another, like, if you wonder how to help, your teachers want to help you
But
help
there are
them.
resources for parents that are, you know, some may be a little bit more vested in their child's. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I know a lot of teachers were asked for like summer work packets, and I know a lot of those went out.
Okay.
Mhm.
Cool. Everybody doesn't get that? The summer work packet?
So I know in the past, the workbooks were purchased,
Mm-hmm.
but that was prior to Choice coming on. I don't know how far back it's been.
Yeah.
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 I was just.
Yeah, we've had-
I get those.
Yeah.
Transition. Summer.
Moving right along to old business, the fundraising committee. We have to move.
Specific.
And I do want to have you start, if you don't mind, with the golf outing and how successful it was. But we can again, thank you for your effort there. So,
Is it said in the list?
I think that's the.
Yeah,
That's the grant application that the math teachers put in. So
Oh,
this
this is just supporting.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
Starting on page 36 is my understanding when I was reviewing this, is this is the grant application for the math
Yes.
curriculum for the pilot program that was
So,
accepted and granted. No, just if
It
you.
was informational, the support. Saginaw,
Yep.
Saginaw Valley is supported that grant. So we're really, really thankful for their support for us. Curriculum companies have caught on after COVID, that they used to just give out a book and let you try it. Now, because a lot of them have those technology portals that you end up having to pay to see if you even like it. And so Saginaw supported us 2 years in a row for letting us try to step out and make sure that we can still offer that high-end curriculum beyond 8th grade to our students.
I want to thank the teachers too, all of the
Yeah.
teachers that have been involved in putting forth piloting programs, whether it's filling out the grant application, actually putting it into your classroom. Thank you for the extra time and the effort that you're putting. All right. Fundraising.
I don't think so.
Nope, nope. But thank you. Normally you check with me. So far tonight.
Yeah. Successful again, thanks to the community and to the team here to pull it off. We do have right now the date already kind of placed over for next year. It is heavily booked for the 21st. September, yeah, same location. So we'll work on a few more details. I would like to get also individual feedback from the board for those who attended this as a postmortem to see what we could improve upon for next year. I know that there was also some conversations about what to do with funds. There was conversations around using the funds for potential scholarships and a number of other items. So I think that could all filter into the postmortem for how we want to maybe have certain auction items or portions of the proceeds go to various items that we're looking to do. So right now, with the 31,000 on and overall, it's really putting that money to work now that we were gifted by the community. So I think the question really comes up is, what do we want to do with those funds and those funds we use?
Are there any current fundraising events scheduled in June that isn't now? Going for next year?
So
When would it be?
So Dora and I are going to be talking on this one, but we are going to be looking at this cabin fever bingo type of deal. Coming up here, it's in the February March timeframe. So we're
This is more than west.
I'll send out individually with
Thank you so much.
Golf will go straight.
What?
Golf will go straight down the fairway.
I'll leave it there.
Okay, so moving on to new business, item A, 11A is the math curriculum pilot, which was the grant. We identified on page 36 there. Is there anything,
We're just asking for action to accept the funds.
so at this year, we got a motion to accept the math curriculum pilot, the funds from SVSU. Okay, it has been moved to accept the grant, the SVSU grant for that math pilot curriculum. Is there a second? Dora seconds. Has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion regarding this pilot program? And funding of it. So I guess I do have a what if question.
Mhm.
What if this is a curriculum that the math teachers put in place, they pilot it, but it isn't necessarily what they want? Is that any book? Are we required to continue on a second year? Is that what?
It's for innovation, right? So we're piloting curriculum that allows us to go beyond 8th grade, opportunities for our students. So what I wouldn't do is go back to Saginaw Valley next year and say, could you pay for our second pilot, right?
Okay.
That would be something where we would, but just so that so the board is aware, they reviewed multiple curriculums in advance, and elected to, this one they felt like was the best fit, and they, for uniformity, wanted to do it together. Same with the teachers, bless all of them, for every single teacher jumped into the pilot on ELA. That says a lot about your staff and the excitement about having it. That's not typical. Typically you have a handful that are like, yep, I'm comfortable enough that I'm willing to step out and do this. So to have everybody, when we've done these so far, that everybody's so invested in wanting to find what's right. But they did review multiple others, and this one seemed to hit the mark for all.
So there's not going to be any surprises. They kind of know
Yes.
what's there. I didn't know.
And I think that was the space where they're like, why don't we all? So we're all able to have a conversation about it and pick up right on the things that worked really well and the things that didn't. Ask the questions, can help us around this. This didn't work well for us. Before we come to the board and ask you to financially commit, adopt it into your charter contract, go forward.
I guess is the second.
Yeah.
So for the other school that is running this, now that they're out of the pilot,
They adopted it. This is their first year of full implementation.
what are we looking at?
Very similar to what the pilot was. So
Per year?
curriculum is not, because it's online and they update it, curriculum is now a full investment. You can do like, but you can only go as long as your charter contract is up. So you have 5 years from the school year. They will give discounts, usually pretty sizable, when you sign up to say commit to 3 years, and there's a discount for, instead of renewing it every year. There are some components that are called consumables that you will have to replenish every year, but some things you don't. Like once you have them, your teacher manuals and things, but it will run fairly similar long-term to
So we
what
should
the
think-
cost of.
We should
Mhm.
think it more of a licensing
invest-
deal
yes.
than
Mhm.
a package that we purchased.
Yeah,
Cause we're not purchasing it.
yeah.
Well, we are kind of.
Right, you're purchasing access.
Yeah.
To it. Yeah, it used to be you get a book and you live in it forever and then they get you, I don't know, every like 5 to 10 years, they'll update some things and then they put it back out and you can repurchase. But schools frequently didn't do that. It was a big investment and then there would be gaps and updates supporting it that you can get easier now live.
And we've had kind of a patchwork of curriculum that really didn't necessarily tie together. So
Right, okay. But do consider it, yes, it becomes somewhat of a recurring cost to help support the curriculum.
So it has been very much discussion of this.
With the
Call for a vote.
With the math though, if you're looking at just the math, most of that, they like books. And so the books are bought and they're bought. Those aren't consumables.
So
So
those
those
are
things are stay. Yep, it's any access to the online component, which you will need, but the students don't spend all the time in the online. They spend time in the books.
I guess that's the question too, then that annual cost,
Mhm.
you know, are there also gonna be some add-ons to those consumables? Like, will it also be like certain technologies required to be able to access those web portals and
We have been asking for updated technology with the pilots. Like we had asked for additional technology Chromebooks for middle school to support the ELA curriculum. And you have those, you'll have to replace them on a 3 to 5 year cycle. But we're trying to do in increments so that you don't end up with like all of your Chromebooks running out of their license at one time, but you aren't a one-to-one school. So that's something we've been like trying to integrate into some of these grants to help cover that increased need or access. But again, Kingsbury spends a lot of time with the face-to-face and direct versus, okay, go and do this, but there's opportunities to practice it. And that may be a place where at home, maybe some parents have, if we continue with the student licenses for all of them, that the parents could then jump in and see some of but that we have workbooks for ELA. I think that's been a huge hit for the teachers. We went away from workbooks where you could tangibly come and go with it. And that's something they really liked about Savas is that you can go back to work that you've done and correct it or practice it or,
With that, it has been moved and seconded to approve the SVSU grant for the curriculum pilot. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, the SVSU grant has been accepted for the math curriculum pilot.
can I identify a technology issue we're having?
Like a current technology?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we are recording, but it looks like
It's signed into my.
it's signed
school
into our
email.
school email, not the Kingsbury. So it's recording, it's not live, it will
I
she'll
can
have to
upload it.
after the meeting.
Okay.
Because if she switches her account, it's gonna stop the recording
Oh,
and
yeah,
then it
we
would
can't do
be,
that.
Yeah,
yeah, so
Yeah. I had it signed into the Kingsbury and then when I opened it back up,
it's signed back in.
So,
We'll get it updated
Yeah.
afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Post to the Facebook page, let people know that it'll be uploaded.
we can do that.
Thank you.
Let's see about YouTube channel.
Now, one question, you were talking about the technology, the Chromebooks. To get us to where we need to be, what would that approximately cost?
Each of your grade levels shares a Chromebook cart, and so they split between the two. If you want 1-to-1, you would need we got iPads through grants for the younger ones, but the Chromebooks, we would need an additional class set for every grade through 5. Yeah. So 23. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Which this is, as we're there's some additional 31A money, which is at risk. There's a possibility of potentially doing that, but in the grand,
It's great.
The cover page or the American Frontier is new this year. And the STEM photography, create, and
campaign plan.
yeah, those are new. The therapeutic summer camps have been
Yeah.
offered for years, so. But there's 5 new ones being proposed as well.
And all of them have dates.
Yeah, here.
Yep, I do have some, I have dates from Miss Miller. She sent them to me just before the board meeting, so I can get those if you like. Camp Create will be June 15 to 19. 15 to 19 for June.
Is that 4 days then?
Yes.
Okay.
And then STEM camp will be twice. The first one, June 22nd to 26. And July 13 to 17. Camp Animal Planet, June 29th to July 2nd. And then Camp Capture, July 6th to July 10.
Great.
And then they've got the camp dates.
Yes, for the
Yeah,
rest of the
seven.
one that we have to confirm is the American Frontier Summer Camp for middle school. He says a range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So we have the therapeutic summer camp and the camp capture are both going to be running simultaneously.
For the first week,
Target
yeah.
population,
Yep.
the therapeutic-
Oh, okay. Sure.
No.
Can we put together a visual?
Yes, I will.
calendar?
I will.
So
Yes.
again, thanks Sandy for, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
You did. Said that.
You said enrich.
Yeah, I'll put them all on a pretty view.
Well,
Right.
I took advantage of, some of these camps last year, and they were so well run and so well done. And my child goes to Upland Hills as well. She really enjoys that, and it's like 4 times the cost of these. And you don't get, there's not 4 times the content or substance. She really enjoyed the Kingsbury camps on her own campus with her people that she knew and staff that she knew, and was very enriching that way. And not saying that Wood Hills doesn't have an outstanding product, they certainly do, but I think this is something if we can grow. And it's also a great opportunity for some of our staff to explore different things too.
Now, do we allow outsiders?
It's a great question. We last year waited to see if we
Yeah.
can fill, and then via word of mouth, some of our families, we did open that up. We had talked to the board about that. And so we did have students were connected to Kingsbury, but didn't actually attend the school. We did have one student come that wasn't a student and is.
It's
And
great
it-
advertising.
Now it's.
Mhm.
Yes.
I was gonna say, it's great advertising for Kingsbury.
And we even have kids who left the school
Mhm.
participate.
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
Sort of were wandering by, doing something different and thought, and their kids wanted to participate.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're there. So that was kind of a cool thing too.
We have summer camps at the other 3 schools that I serve, and they also offer them for outside. Some people want this experience, but aren't able to make the drive or those types of things work, but they can provide those opportunities for their students in
Yeah.
short segments over the summer. And so they also start with internal and then they open up to spots external should they happen. I thought that was great this year to see that, we filled and had a couple of people still connected to Kingsbury, but come out and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So if you would like to approve these, that gives them the opportunity to start checking
going.
for information and continue planning.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve. Can we do them all in one lump
Yeah.
sum?
Mhm.
All of the.
Yeah, so
Support.
And Adam supports. Is there any further discussion? Hearing no. Making enough time for further discussion, I kind of ran right through that. Okay, yeah, sorry. Hearing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the summer camps, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay. Hearing no opposition, those summer camps have been approved, moving right along to pay to play athletics. To get a little bit more clarity on, the pay to play athletics and where that funding goes.
You want me to-
Yeah, go ahead.
So there was some discussions brought up at the financial subcommittee, actually, both Sandy and I both heard it, that there was complaints about pay to play on the banquet. And the thought was that the pay to play should have covered the banquet cost.
Mhm.
So I just want to direct your attention to page 13. So it's Hyperion 11-0173, and there's 19 zeros and a -1. That budget is 10,000, so that's your pay to play right there. And then if you look at the expenses on page 20, which would be the Hyperion subtotal 293 down at the bottom of the page, our athletics cost about 34,550. So we do pay roughly 24,550 for athletics. So I just wanted to clarify some of the misconceptions that the pay to play funded the entire sports program, and that it was a funded for the fund. It's not the case. I just want to clarify that.
They're also in having some follow-up conversation. I think we're finding that there were some promises to the pay to play that we weren't aware of, and one of those is the banquets. So I don't have anything in writing, but there have been a couple people have said it was promised that when pay to play increased before Choice Schools was hired, that there might have been a promise that said full banquet participation is included in that. So what I'm
That's an expensive proposition.
what I'm accustomed to is schools frequently have banquets, and it's usually like the coach and the students are paid for, and then extra participants. You can go, but if you want the meal,
Sure.
and then
I'm not gonna feed the family.
my child is to go to a varsity banquet, right? Each of us had to pay an additional fee. We could have chose not to eat. So it's not that they can't come, but that was something that is coming out in the past week or so, that it seems as though that was a promise that was provided that we were unaware of, is that it would be for the whole family to come and celebrate at the banquet, paid for. So that was something that
Where was this promise made?
I don't have anything, if anybody has something, but
So my understanding was there was an increase fairly recently, within the past, I think, 2 or 3 years, of the pay to play fees. Originally, it was $75, and it has increased to $125. So I believe that it was the increase. I don't know if it was a promise. I don't know what it was, but it was prior to Choice stepping in. And one of the understandings, at least based on my understanding, is that there was this understanding, lots of understanding, that additional increase was going to help cover end of the year banquet or festivities.
Well, and that's okay for the
For
kid.
the student.
Well, and again, this is
And
just
it's
where
hard.
we need some clarity.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
understanding
Oh,
needs to be
yes.
cleared up.
Okay.
That becomes a bullet point on a sign up sheet.
Yeah.
That
So-
includes, year-end, season-end banquet for the athlete.
the reason this has come up recently is we did have the volleyball banquet. It was fully covered after enough people had shared, like that was promised before. And it happened last year, again, new and kind of rolling with it. And then this year, it came up again. So we have tried to reach out and say the next season, right? Our winter season sports, that would be the $5 extra. And that's what we would propose for each additional, outside the student, it'd be $5. But from a parent perspective, if there was an understanding, that's where we're trying to, I don't want to break a promise that was here before us, but we do want some clarity.
But I'm not sure
on-
economically we can afford that to
Well-
do everybody in the family.
I don't know that it was ever promised. I've
And
not
again,
seen
this,
anything.
this is where there was that understanding of why the increase was there. And so the question then comes up, if we've increased, what is that increase paying for? And I think
Mhm.
that's why we want to make sure,
Inflation.
which if that's what it is, then that's what needs to be, communicated.
Some of this was, let's call it what it is, was messed up. In the transition of leadership
Yeah.
and both the transition of leadership at the school level and at the athletic director level. And there were some comments, off the cuff comments made, maybe by people who weren't authorized to make any commitments.
Yeah.
And may no longer be involved with the school, so why would we hold to a promise that somebody's not affiliated with the school?
It's
I-
emotional, so.
Right,
That's
which
why
we have to clarify.
it's important to be transparent.
Yep.
Is this a space where I think where we could say, is that something that we continue this year and make it explicitly clear to everybody for next year, have a handbook that explicitly lays that out, so it's not, and we
I
could send out a
suppose.
communication now that says what pay to play is working with, and what comes out of that, but we also have fewer, you're doing, there's fewer sports. Like we haven't been able to field all the teams that we have in the past. This is budgeted based on assuming that all the same ones happen, so.
Is there feedback as to why? Is it because of the cost, the increased cost that students haven't signed up?
No,
No.
I can put out a survey and
Just curious
include
as
that,
to-
yeah.
Okay.
We do have a team that branched off outside of Kingsbury, so
A team that, what do you mean, a team that branched
an
out?
additional team where some of our players went.
Oh, some of the
Instead of
students
playing
left the
for,
school team and they're going to.
and a different team.
Correct.
One thing we're whispering over here, we're just looking at, after school clubs and athletic dues and fees. And saying, month to date activity and year to date activity. And I was saying some of that money sits in student activities. And that's probably if there's a differentiation between, we know how many girls play volleyball and have.
And that goes by quarter.
Sitting in student activities.
Yes. It has not made a
Way
transfer.
to this spreadsheet yet,
Yeah.
so.
Sue keeps great documentation on that side,
But
but,
by the end of the year, audited,
and it will true up.
but she doesn't do.
Okay, so this is just a thought. So the kids pay to play and maybe it's for the banquet, but maybe not. Could the KPA be involved in that and do a banquet for sports?
I think that the issue isn't the amount that it was
Yeah.
gonna cost to pay for
Okay.
the funding.
Determining
I think
whether-
it was, like, wait a minute, why am I now paying $50
They-
more?
Okay,
And what am I getting more for that
Okay.
$50?
Okay.
That's what I think, and I think that communicating and having a conversation or having some communication shared with
Sure.
these families that are involved in this would help understand, because I don't think it's the amount
Okay.
per se.
No, I don't.
oh,
Because-
okay. I thought it
It's
was in
the
my-
wondering of what's
The
the,
lack of
yeah,
clarity.
the lack of clarity.
And I think it's, but the KPA raises money, and I don't mean to speak for Becky, but the KPA raises money for all of
All,
the kids.
yeah.
and the
That's
entire
true.
community,
Yep.
but to have just a
Yeah,
banquet
that's
for
true.
certain kids would be sort of against their stated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Agreed.
Yep. Nope, you're right. Yep,
Right.
you're right. Yep.
Well, it puts you in an awkward situation.
Yeah.
Many people are possible.
Okay.
So I would like to just from the board's create a communication that is clear so parents understand. It just helps reimburse some of the program costs, right? Tournament fees, referees, those types of things. So, and then clearly lay out through a handbook, through an athletic handbook, so that there's the place for people to go back and reference. But staying course and then making clear what that looks
No, it
like.
makes sense.
I think, I agree. I think the parents just want, yeah,
Does
clarity
the
on
current
that.
student handbook make any mention of a banquet?
Not down to banquets, no.
It didn't? Okay. I just want to make sure.
That's why we're,
Working
Nikki's
on
working on
sports,
an
an athletic one.
So moving on to food service, excuse me.
Okay, so this has come up about food service. We thought we might have an opportunity to pilot, still hasn't come through. My understanding is he's still seeking another employee to be able to serve. So there is an opportunity, in the tiniest print ever, for you to see this
Yes,
report. I
this
couldn't,
cracks me up. It's our eye chart.
yeah, so just as a reference point, we talked about school-wide free breakfast and lunch, and what the impact on our students. So we, at our last meeting, I talked a little bit about the community eligibility opportunity, the provision for that. There's a threshold. So what the state does is they go in and they put everybody's at risk. Basically, you're free and reduced direct cert. And that gives you an idea of if you qualify for CEP. At this point, you're 17%, which would not meet the qualifier for a CEP school, which is the full breakfast and lunch reimbursements. Instead, the school you would still be able to do, students who are free and reduced would be able to participate based on the free and a reduced cost. It wouldn't be free for all, because you don't meet the initial eligibility. You really want to sit right around, if you want this you would need to have closer to 40% to be at that kind of break even where the state reimburses you enough to cover the full meals. Otherwise, anything less than, your boards are just covering small amounts. We're continuing to do research. And the next step would be our director of operations coming out, and we would need to do kind of a site walkthrough to talk about where the possibility would be of setting up like a vended meals program, so that you could reach out and do an RFP to see if there were vendors that would bid on that. So that would be our next step, is to figure out spatially location. You've got to have a serve safe staff member, even though they wouldn't be serving, you have to have them on staff. But the employees serving would have to be serve safe, but there also has to be one on site. Many times with the vended meals, you may be able to have employees through them. The other spaces that you've got to have, while you may not have to have a kitchen, you don't have to have it prepared here. The vended meals program would have some type of product that they come and keep warm, your milk and those types of things. Having the space to ensure that those health department standards can be met, and then the transfer of the food directly to the student from an employee who's serving it. So that's the next phase is walking through. But I promised I would get you some information on where that eligibility was for the free school meals for all. As a reminder too, that was one of those negotiation pieces in the 2025 budget, not the CEP, but the state is covering the difference. If you're a CEP, if you're a 30%, they would help cover that difference. That's decided on an annual basis. The CEP doesn't change, but you wouldn't be eligible to apply for that program yet.
So the free lunch for all is not truly free lunch for all.
That's what I,
No, it's
I
not.
wanted to be,
You didn't
to offer
say
some
that?
people
It's
clarity.
diplomatic.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
calls for lunch.
Didn't know I was supposed to not say it. I just, it, like, looking at it,
I was thinking that, it was like,
interesting.
the state budget does help cover that, right? That the CEP is it's a long-term support from the federal government that passes through to the state. The state is helping to cover that, but if that drops off, if you watched schools budgeting, that was a real challenge because the money dropped off in September and some schools had no back money to fill that space. And so they were having conversations with their community that if that money doesn't get renewed, we stop and people go back to paying their reduced or full price for meals. That Michigan element is what covers, it can cover all of it, but the CEP is what guarantees you like longer term. So just knowing the space that you're in for this year, so the Michigan one does help cover the bulk of those costs, yes, but it's a challenge on an annual basis as to whether or not, and schools relied on that, families relied on that funding. So we could work towards doing that for next year under the assumption that the state puts it in next year's budget, but you would have to be signing contracts with vendors prior to knowing if that will be a continued program. Yeah.
Now, is this based on people filling out those forms?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so. And I just wonder if there is, if this number is low.
Yeah.
Because
People
people know
don't
we
fill it
don't
out.
offer it
Mhm.
anyway, so why should I waste my time submitting this form? Cause it doesn't do anything, so I'm not gonna do it. And if we communicated to the school community that we're seriously taking a look at this. And ask people again to fill out those forms, if we might not find that we get to the threshold.
Yeah. It will take a year for the cycle of that. We did try to communicate that because the application for it says free and reduced meals. It's actually not, that application isn't tied to just free and reduced meals. That's actually tied to at-risk funding. So 31A and Title I. So I do believe, Sandy, that when you glance at it and you're like, it's one more document to fill out. This must not be pertinent to me. I don't see the opportunity to fill it in as something that I would receive any benefit from. Absolutely. I can send a communication out that says we're really, really looking into this, but we need your
We
help
need to
long-term.
Communicate in a different way
Mhm.
to get people.
Yeah.
to Take the time to do that or offer an opportunity to help them with the form or
Yeah.
something of that nature.
It absolutely.
So I'm not criticizing what we've already done. I'm just saying that maybe.
If they
there's
know that it's part of a
different way to
decision.
communicate
it's important that they
that's
follow.
submitted.
Yeah. Qualify to fill
But people don't read. Yeah.
it does. I think the title of it sometimes can,
Mhm.
absolutely, we can ask again and say, we're truly considering this. If you haven't filled that out, please fill it out so we have a better idea.
Other business.
Thanks for looking. Is that Alex?
Yeah.
All right, SESU representative update. Anything for us?
Second of board visits. So have a good holiday season. We'll see you next year.
No other comments, no other help, no other updates? Fair enough. Okay, thank you. Thank you for joining. Management company report, and we see that a school leader just stepped out, so do you
You're
want to
gonna
go?
go? Absolutely. So, I won't read each of these to you individually. But talking about the board in the compliance section, the board had asked, is there some type of correlation, the size of schools, students you serve, and board size? And the board asked if we could reach out and kind of check Saginaw Valley. I had shared that last time that in terms of Choice Schools Network, there wasn't necessarily a direct correlation. We saw that almost all of our boards have been dropping to 5 for getting members. But I noted in here that Saginaw had shared that there's no direct correlation to the size of the board and the number of students. And so they provide an example. One of the largest schools in their network operates with a 5-member board, while another school with just over 200 students has a 7-member board. And so it's really a local decision, and it doesn't seem to have, within the places that we've checked, there hasn't been a strong that number that anybody can confirm. And then just an update on the curriculum. So we have a curriculum meeting coming up with Kristen Molyneux, our curriculum director, and Nikki and I, and then feedback from teachers to see kind of how things are going, what are their noticings, what are their wonderings. That time for the pilot is to ask those questions, figure out where there might be barriers, and where we might need to provide some additional training or support, so that teachers can have strong input and feel comfortable with what they would like to put forth for the coming year. We had our environmental conference this month at New Branches Charter Academy over in Grand Rapids, where all of our schools came together for a day, spent time together outside with teachers doing sessions, and some of your own staff did actually presented some sessions for staff, and they participated in them. We had community partners out there. We had some time where grade level teams met across the network, and taking that feedback to find out better ways that we can help. They found they really want to talk to first grade teachers across the network and talk about how they're going outside and things. So we hear them and are trying to work out for more time for them to have that dialogue. So it's fun to see that schools across the state with varying curriculums really are eager to talk and collaborate. And for many, there wasn't enough time to do all of that. Again, 31 AA in there. We did already apply. The consolidated app came in 2 pieces because of the federal government. And so Title I came out, Title II and Title IV have already been submitted and applied for. So looking to hear back. I think we have approvals from yours since then. And then we had our teams meet. There's a team talk this week for all of our special ed to converge and again have those communities of practice and have learning opportunities there. And just an overall, just kudos to the staff. It's always fantastic walking in here. They're eager to share. At the conference, I saw this excitement talking to different teachers about things they're excited about doing and what they're hoping to do in the future. And then we had, I was able at the last minute, we had a place that we didn't. There's a national conference, the place-based education conference that typically happens. It started in Michigan and it's now gone national. It was in Ypsilanti. We have close communications with a lot of our environmental people. And made a quick last minute call to ask if there were any scholarships left, and they said no, but we're in a great place. How many would you like? So Alyssa and Casey got a last minute invitation to come free of charge to the place-based education conference. And I really appreciate them taking the time away from their classes to and have subs and have sub plans and to be fully immersed in it was really, really exciting. So I'm appreciative that they were willing to come. We jumped over you.
That's
You were
okay,
getting
yeah.
copies.
Yep. So I will pass this around. This is the
Most
correct
recent
enrollment numbers. So the form that I included in there, that's just a typical form that is given to our family. So apologies for that one. They're names, similar names. So Allie mentioned our environmental conference. I listed a few of the different events that were presentations in there. Michigan State University, they did something on the invasive species program. We made connections with the Department of Environmental, Eagle, Great Lakes, that presentation. And we walked away with a lot of resources out here that we can utilize. We can ask for actual models of different wetlands and stuff and bring them back. And then the teachers can show, maybe a trail of pollution or something from a factory and how it pollutes into the land and stuff. And those are all through the Eagle classroom that they have, the Loaning Library. And they have a lot of different items like that that's available for the teachers. So we walked away with a lot more resources for that. We have an active dance club going on right now. All of our students from preschool through 8th grade are able to sign up on 3 different days, their age bands that the students can take part of. We also have coding club, yearbook club, student council meets during their recess, usually once a week or once a month. And archery will be starting up. I just shared that in the most recent newsletter. Archery is coming back as well. Coffee with the principal is tomorrow. I'm going to do an in-person and a virtual option. So if anybody is able to join either one, I will answer any remaining questions about our most recent parent survey. I won't go into the details of the parent survey, but if somebody had a question, then I can address some of those questions if it didn't show up on the survey itself.
They just came in.
No, not the results.
no.
No, I'm not going to share the results, but I'm going to give an opportunity that if parents want to ask a question that may not have shown up or it's something they thought of after the fact, that I can then have that communication. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not sharing the results.
Yeah. Those are being collected. We should have those for the next board meeting.
Yeah. And then we have our harvest lunches this week. Starting on Wednesday with our preschoolers and kindergartners, and then grades 1 through 4 on Thursday and 5 and up on Friday. And then obviously Thanksgiving break is next week. And then a big shout out to KPA for their veteran celebration when I was not able to attend. The flu hit me the night before. So I was very pleased to hear that it did go off very well and appreciate the work that they put into that. We did submit the grant for the First Filter initiative to stay in compliance with them. That will be some upgrades to some of our water bottle filling stations to make sure that they're in compliance with that. And then we've talked about the math pilot. The 3rd grade classroom position has been filled, and she's stepped in there and basically back to day one with the kids and restarted, and hearing good things going on down there. And the kids have really taken to Miss Kugler being in the class. So she's a welcome addition. And then for your enrollment numbers, these are all current numbers. From last month, we did add a 7th grader and just a 7th grader. So we did add a middle schooler from last month. Yeah.
What's the 37?
Yeah, what's 37 mean?
Is it the junior kindergarten and preschool?
Oh, yeah. No, that's 38.
Oh, yeah. It didn't calculate down. So that should be 38. Those are auto calculations. That's the total. Yep.
Noting that K-8 funding is separate from.
Yep.
Right.
I did talk to Audrey today, and people are still reaching out for next year.
Yeah.
And something that
Alrighty.
she had noted is that it's a wide variety of grades searching out. So we have some like future middle schoolers that have been reaching out to inquire
Yeah,
for
right.
enrollment for next year. She had 2 or 3 tours today for next year. So, I thought she was really excited to share that. I thought that was great.
Question.
Mhm.
So we say we have a max number of students in preschool of 10, yet we have 13 enrolled. Is
It's
that
the
a question
partial.
of different days?
Mhm.
Yes, yeah,
Same in junior kindergarten?
correct.
Yep.
Yep, we can have 10 at a time each day in preschool and 12 at a time in junior kindergarten.
Mhm.
So they're maybe 3 days a week.
Oh,
Third grade.
Not third grade.
One
Fourth
open.
grade.
Yep, there should be that. It should be a 1.
Check the
That's one of those.
Interesting. And we
formulas,
have
yeah.
2 in 2 grade? No, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
Open seats, yeah.
2 open seats, it's there.
Yep.
Yeah. Good catch. man.
Okay. There's any other questions for either the operational or school leader? Session. If it is requested, what we could do, so closed sessions, are allowed under the open meeting act if we are getting legal counsel regarding that matter. If somebody did want to ask for a closed session, so we could try and call counsel to see if they were able to give us legal advice, and if we can get counsel, on the phone, we can have that, theoretically could have that closed session with counsel. So would anybody like to move for a closed session?
So move.
Okay, anybody second? It's in Kyle seconds for a closed session to discuss with legal counsel.
Well,
Any further discussion with respect to that before we take a vote? All those in favor of moving to a closed session, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, please say nay.
My notes, it says it has to be a roll call.
yes, it is. Mhm.
Okay.
So are there any nays? Okay, hearing no nays, we will take a roll call. Ally?
Jody,
Aye.
Sandy, Adam,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Dora. Aye. Michael.
Aye.
That everybody?
Mhm.
Okay, so what will happen is, the meeting will be suspended while, we go into consult with legal counsel. We will return for the remainder of the agenda. And at this time, for note purposes, Ally, would you join us in that meeting?
Yeah. So we
Where are
have,
we going?
Any of those classrooms are open.
we have live streaming. So for audience members, we're going to keep it live streaming. The conversation will help
So
us.
don't
So
say
that-
anything.
Yeah. It will be, it is,
Just me about how. That's less fun.
Got something to help me with.
Mhm.
The clubs I put dates, was it yearbook?
Yep, we have
Archery.
dance, yearbook, coding,
Oh,
archery is starting up.
okay.
Um, dance, coding. Did you get coding?
Dance, yearbook, archery, coding.
Coding. I think that's all of them.
Was there one more?
No.
Okay.
Nope, that's all of them right now.
Okay.
That was perfect. That gave me an opportunity. Now you can just turn and say hi to everybody. Dora's right there, yes.
No, this we haven't made because Sandy also orders our delivering that at the same time. Get out a little smooshy. Here. Wait. Sorry, I thought that was another special. Good grief. Able to if you want. So anyway, that's why the video just like calling her. Forgot about that. So we found the other kid, which is very. We're walking on the words. Like, balance. Things are changing. Very place changes over there. So like, things that means that you feel really nauseous and you're not good. It's what like how causes teachers to solve. But awesome. That was all these songs. And some people think but I just like that's another thing. I have everything. Often come off it. And I just like something. And it's like being like women. You know, just one thinking. You know, so I would like try not to the look at me from my phone number. He's like, what's the he's like asking what the doctors and why don't you think what? It's not I was like how did you find out about his scheduling? This is just misplaced. Works. Yeah. The other one's gonna come do. Got my hair, we found. What? You know, my dad was in the girl in the child. What? Mm-hmm. The hospital said the same thing. It was the top of the town. Try my best.
Oh, no. The class phone is in there too if you need it. Yeah, you don't have to push anything, just dial like normal.
No, or I had a shoulder on the inside. It's not actually. So it didn't bother me. And then his shirt stayed in the room. Did it for, it stayed, it packed it. Because he had full. And he knew. That. He did. So. It was like things. No, mine too exists. Anyway. Yeah.
Let's do it. She was walking around cleaning up the table and she goes, "Do you want my axolot?" I'm like, "Sure, Maddie, I'll pay you for your axolot." I said, "Sure, I'll take your axolot." Yeah. She's adorable. Uh-huh. I can't, I think they work. We tried. And I can't unplug the projector because it'll stop. Does it really not work? No, they don't. The closest is gonna be way up there. Plug. I know where there's one. Oh, there we go. Those are from the KPA. You gonna unmute?
What's the time? 9:27 to read.
Right,
It is 9:27. We have reconvened. We've about a closed session. If you are still with us, thank you for your patience as we conferred with legal counsel regarding this matter in the closed session. We find that at this time, I would entertain, well, at this time, we're gonna go back to 11B, which is. the
You have to
business-
vote to re-enter
Oh,
from,
I'm sorry.
to enter regular meeting.
Yeah, before I can proceed on anything, would entertain a motion to re-enter or unsuspend, if you will, the board meeting.
So moved.
Adam moves and then there's a second. Yeah, Sandy seconds. It's been moved and seconded to rejoin the board meeting. And is there any further discussion regarding that? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, Ally, do we need a roll call vote to reconvene the meeting?
No,
All right,
6.
so we are reconvening at this time. After our closed session, I would like to now move back to the new business, 11B, the 31AA bridge. At this time, I would entertain any motion regarding the 31AA bridge. To the funds with a caveat that if the deadline is moved by court order or any other action, or if options have changed in the language, that this board recognizes the right to call a special meeting and revoke. Ally, do you have the language?
Yeah, I have it written, but if the deadline is, so the board approves to opt in the motion, but if the deadline is moved or language is updated, the board recognizes the right to call a special meeting and revoke or revoked.
Right, is there a second?
Support.
Adam supports, it's been moved and seconded to opt in with the caveat that is placed on the record. The deadline is, if the deadline is moved by action, or the options change, this board recognizes the right to call a special meeting to re-vote. Is there any discussion regarding that motion at this time? But this, I would just like to again make note that this is something that came to the board within between last board meeting and today's board meeting. And we were given a very tight timeline with respects to this. Originally, my understanding of the timeline was that it was November 16th. However, they did extend that to November 30th. But I'd also like to point out that they extended it to November 30th. And there is a holiday within that time frame, which makes this a very difficult time frame to kind of absorb everything that is imposed with the conditions regarding the 31A funding. And so I want to thank everybody for their time here tonight to spend time to dig into that. I thank our legal counsel for joining us to, discuss its last.
So I think the intent, I want to clarify some things too. I think the intent of the legislation was, I think the wording is there, frankly. And frankly, I think it's on conversation. So hopefully the challenge those reports and see some effect. But I just want to make sure that however the board votes, like it's the way of the wording and the rights given up and the protections given up for bond or
I don't think there's a person at this table or who has been involved with that community has anything more important than the safety of the children that come to the school every day. And so I appreciate your comments, Kyle, because I agree with you.
I don't like the vagueness. I don't like that. I think it's something that was, been sentencing. And it feels like strong arming right now, into something that's supposed to be good, to help our children. So, It's unfortunate.
Anybody else? Yeah, so at this time, I would, call for a vote for everybody in favor of the current motion, to say aye. Any opposition, say nay.
And we'll do a roll call.
Well, yep, I
So,
just wanted to have the vote there, and now I am gonna do a roll call
sorry,
vote. Go ahead, Ashley.
way too many things open here. Jody Quisenberry. Sandy Buckley. Adam Stewart,
Aye.
Kyle Jackson, and Dora Higbee.
Aye.
Michael Easlick.
So at this time, that opt-in language has been approved. Again, with the specification added to the resolution that we already had regarding the timeline, as well as potential changes. This is something, again, that our legal counsel is going to keep a close eye on and is going to update us as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So if we do find that there is a change and there is a need to call a special board meeting, we will make sure to call a special board meeting pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, make sure there is enough time. And then we will have a public meeting if necessary. And hopefully we'll continue to keep following that complaint that is currently going. And again, I know that everybody that's sitting at this table is very aware of the safety of the children that come to the school every day. And we want to make sure that they are safe. And we also just need to have clarity in what the legislature is asking for and understanding. So with that, I would ask for any extended public comments.
Is
Have
it time to
anything
go
else?
home?
Do you have anything else to say to us? Sorry we kept you waiting so long, buddy. I don't believe there are any extended comments at this time. So our next regular board meeting is 6 p.m. Monday, December 15th, 2025. I have a conflict, so I won't be here.
I
If
won't
you
be
end up
here
having
either.
a conflict, so any other conflicts, let us know. So if we do need to reschedule it, yes, let Sandy know. I mean, I'm not.
You have me down.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
So at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn our meeting.
So moved.
Dora moves. Is there a second? Mike second. It is a moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, the meeting- all those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye. Thank you so much.